From the shadows of the night, the hawk returns. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8, the Nighthawk Resurrected opens heaven's gate. Kelly Powers and Ginni take the midnight stage, calling all true seekers to turn another page. Spirits whisper secrets, UFOs light the sky, demons and the elite, we look them in the eye. New world order falling as the hawk takes flight, the earth is shifted. Raise the gifted tonight. This is the Nighthawk Resurrected, flying through the dark where the truth is protected. Listening on YouTube, Rumble, and X at Nighthawk Resurrected. Come join the
Welcome to the Nighthawk Resurrected. This is Ginni, and I'm here with Kelly Powers. What did you think of our new intro?
I think that is the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
That's pretty bomb. It had a great beat, too.
Right?
Had like a little bit of bass.
I know, man.
This is the Nighthawk Resurrected, and we are on everything now, especially KSCO.
You can say the station handle. It's fine.
AM.
So just so the listeners try to understand what's going on right now, we have launched online. So I believe we're streaming on YouTube and X right now. If you want to find us online, you can go to YouTube. It's Nighthawk Resurrected. And on X, it's Nighthawk Res. So very exciting stuff. We are joining the technical world. But with that, there's a learning curve. So be patient with us. We've got all kinds of new intros, cool stuff happening. My aunt just texted and said she loved the intro. So we have a little different turn tonight. We're going to talk to Wayne Pacelle, Pacelle. If you want to talk to him or see his work, it's Wayne, Wayne, Pacelle.com. And he fights for animals. And here at the Nighthawk, I think we love animals, right? What's that mean, Ginni?
I don't have my headset. I'm using
Ew.
So, no, it's not ill. It's just that they don't sound as good as mine.
That's ew. People like, I'm not going to name anybody in particular in this studio, but they come in and they're sweaty and yucky. Okay. Sorry about that.
You talk while I get ready.
So, like I said, go to WaynePacelle.com. You can find all his work. He has done a ton of work with Humane Society. And we're going to talk about why this is such a passion for him. As you guys know, I love my dogs. They are some of my most favorite creatures that exist. Wow, that got really loud. Did you do that on purpose?
I turned it up.
Okay, so we're going to talk about his writings.
Isn't that part of your extended family?
It is my main family. Love my animals. So just a little bit of news. I saw our local lifeguard that ended up at the White House. Did you see it, Ginni?
Yes. It was amazing. I can't believe that he got to go there and represent Santa Cruz County.
There was a lot of lifeguards, and it was really, really, really cool. So, hey, can you play this? We have a few minutes. I just want to play it.
Okay.
Hang on, I got to take it back because it's too far.
All right. Well, let's.
Are you ready?
Yep. Get it going. Turn it up.
So that was official from the White House, whitehouse.gov, and they welcomed Ryder Williams to the Oval Office. And
the kid he saved and his parents too, right?
Yes. And, sitting there watching that, it was all of our local lifeguards and
captains and
yeah,
chiefs
it was
of
just the whole Oval Office was filled with
Santa Cruz.
the locals
Right.
representing.
I know, that's pretty awesome.
And if you watch that video, we had that a week during the summer. I think it was about a week where the swell was just crazy. I was walking the pugs down on the beach that day, and
they almost got washed away.
Ruby, she does this thing where she runs, like we walk along the seawall and then we end up back down at the shore, and she wants to gulp up seawater. I have no idea why. The other pug will not. I mean, she'll barely even get wet, but Ruby's like in the shore, drinking, gulping seawater. Anyways, ran down, and it was a really rough sea, and the tide would go way out, and there was like kind of a dip in the sand where you had to go down in the shore, and she runs down there, and I'm thinking, I got to jump out there and save this stinking pug like Ryder Williams did. Luckily that didn't happen, but a shout out to our local lifeguards. Thank you guys for being there. You're amazing. You save lives and you keep our beaches wonderful and safe for everybody that comes and enjoys them, because I don't think people realize how rough the sea can get and how easy something like that can happen.
Well, there's undertows that are pretty amazing that like pull people out.
I don't know if they're pretty amazing, but they are
It's just
pretty
amazing
powerful.
that the ocean does the things that it does.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. So we always take our first commercial break really early, purposefully, because we want to spend as much time with our guests as possible. So we're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back in 6 minutes with Wayne Pacelle.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave. Here to tell you about the ultimate daily.
See, I think there's a way that I can.
Designed to promote healthy
Can you
blood
make the
pressure
video
and improve
bigger?
blood flow to all parts of the body without the use
I
of
can
drugs or
try. I
drugs.
don't know how to do
Improved
that.
blood circulation can result in better vision, brain, and kidney function. Ultimate Daily Classic has a mix of minerals, extracts, and herbs, all in an easy tablet form. It's got hawthorn berry, ginkgo leaf, bilberry, thymus gland extract, and more. Don't have to go out and gather those things. They're all in there.
Back
If you're
in with
concerned
our
about
old
blood
one
pressure,
or a
kidney,
new
or
one?
eye function, then you should check
What?
out the
You
Ultimate
want me
Daily
to come
Classic
in with
for an
the
extra
old one or a
1-2
new
punch.
one?
No, the
add
new
to
one.
Healthy
Use the new
Brain and
ones.
Heart Pack. To find out more, log on to kscohealth.com or call 831-218-5726 to speak with an authorized longevity distributor. The number again is 831-218-5726 or log on to kscohealth.com.
This is Reg. Hey, I'm Reg. Reg can be a little difficult to be around. Hey, whoa, what do you mean by that? Because when you casually share an opinion with Reg gets angry. How dare you say that to me? So when you're out to lunch with Reg, you say something like, this salmon is so good. I just love how they use cilantro. Reg says, oh, you disgusting idiot. You salon chumps are exactly what's wrong with this country. As far as I'm concerned, cilantro should be illegal, and you should be in prison. Plus, salmon stinks. You should just throw it in the garbage. This is cod country. There are Regs on both sides of any conversation, especially when it comes to politics. But the truth is, we're really not that different from each other. Be kind, hear each other out, and try not to be too much of a Reg. Our community will be better for it. This message is brought to you by this radio station and the spirit of local businesses.
Having low income can mean making tough choices. Choosing between paying for food or medication or a place to live is a reality for many people. Do you know someone who could use some extra help? Find out about the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, administered by Social Security. You could receive monthly SSI payments if your income and financial resources are low and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability or who is blind. SSI is money you can use to help pay for basic needs, like putting food on the table, keeping the lights on, paying the rent. It can mean new shoes for growing feet or help with medical needs. Call 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI to schedule an appointment or start to apply today. That's ssa.gov/SSI. This message is produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
You're wanting the camera,
Who listens to radio? That's
So where you go, medium.
So you're gonna come in with a new one, right? Which one are you gonna do? Which are you gonna come back in with?
It's a surprise.
Who listens to radio? No matter if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall. Who listens to radio? Only 150 million. 150 million people. That's all.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years. And what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. These days, almost everyone has heard of gluten intolerance. There's not much that hasn't been said about the problematic nature of the sticky protein that's found in grains and seeds that plants produce. One little known fact about celiac disease and other forms of gluten processing difficulties involves zinc deficiency. As it turns out, the area of the intestine that is most affected by gluten is also the area of the intestine where zinc absorption takes place. That means if you are gluten intolerant, and you're still indulging in grains, and bread, and cereals, and other forms of gluten, the odds are pretty good that you're going to be zinc deficient. If you're not supplementing with zinc, the deficiencies are almost a certainty. Even if you are supplementing, but you're gluten
don't turn that on because it's going to pick up all the noise.
You're very likely going to be experiencing the signs of zinc deficiency, including skin diseases, mental health issues, and perhaps immune system disorders. And keep in mind, because zinc is such an important element of the insulin molecule, and the sugars in most gluten-containing foods require insulin/zinc for their processing, not only are you going to be wreaking havoc on your digestive system and nervous system, but now you're going to be dealing with blood sugar problems too. If you are gluten intolerant or have a history of celiac disease, you might want to think about supplementing with 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate every day. It's really inexpensive. You can get a month's supply for $2 or $3. And because zinc and copper work together, it's a good idea to throw in 2 to 4 milligrams of a daily dose of copper chelate as well. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm a pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos too at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
The earth has shifted, ways are gifted now. Spirits are calling from the other side somehow. UFOs trick across the midnight sky. Demons in the shadows, the elite can't deny. New world order rising, change they try to bind. But the night hawk soars and crushes evil every.
Welcome back to the Nighthawk Resurrected. This is the start of an amazing future for you, Kelly.
For me, just for me. That's hilarious. Ginni, we're going to have a camera soon pointed on you, so you better put your makeup on. You're looking a little shiny.
Looking a little pale.
You're looking a little shiny.
I'm shining up.
Well, typically guys need to be powdered down. So let's get Wayne on. Ginni?
Wayne.
Hi, how are you today?
Welcome to the Nighthawk Resurrected.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to the show. Thanks for your time tonight. I know it's getting a little late for you on the East Coast, but we appreciate your voice here. So do you say your last name Pacelle? Pacelle. Oh, man. So this is your first appearance on the Nighthawk. And I was telling Ginni before you came on, you know, I think Americans love their animals, right? Especially their dogs, their cats, their birds, their snakes, whatever it is. But you have a voice for all animals that are voiceless, right? How did you start? Let's talk a little bit about your journey. How did you become who you are today?
Well, I think it was in me, Kelly. I had an affinity for animals, connection to animals, and instinctive empathy for animals from a very young age. It was not something that my parents taught me. My 3 older siblings, they didn't teach me. It was just part of me. In fact, I wrote a book some years ago called The Bond,
Sure.
And, you know, the worst thing you can do to a prisoner is put him or her in solitary confinement and go mad.
Right.
We need other people, but we also need animals. And, you know, there are perhaps 2 million species on our little planet.
Wow.
And from the very beginning, with humans as hunters and gatherers, animals were part of the human experience. They've always been a part of the human experience. And when I was a kid, I knew that animals were different than humans, but they were different in good ways.
Right.
They were fast, they were muscular, they had beautiful fur, they had incredible eyes, they could do, you know, amazing things. They could fly, they could swim, they could run at 60 miles an hour if they were a cheetah or a pronghorn. And I just had no instinct to hurt an animal. And when I learned about what was going on with them as I got older, I said I didn't want to be a bystander and I wanted to do something about it. So I started an animal advocacy group when I was a college student, and I've been running it full sprint ever since.
So did you have animals as a child?
I did. I had a series of dogs. The first one was named after the great Greek historian Pericles. And I had other dogs. And I loved my dogs, but there was so much more than that for me.
Right.
It was not just like I love my dog, I love my dogs. Like I was connected to all animals, and I had an aunt who gave me a subscription to National Geographic.
Yep.
And in every issue, there was a profile of some animal. I would look at the side of the magazine for the subjects, and if it was African lions, I'd go right there and read everything I could. And if it was blue whales, I'd read that, I'd gather it up. And my aunt also bought me a bunch of books, and it was just like this whole other world on the planet was open to me. You know, we were humans in a human family, but I was just fascinated with other life forms.
So you went to Yale, right, for college?
I did.
And then what did you study?
I studied history, and I also studied environmental studies. It was called Studies in the Environment. So I double majored. I had a real focus on U.S. Western history, which was so much about the environment and so much about how the land and how natural features of our planet shape human behavior and resources, and the whole human experience is shaped by the environment. So that just kind of deepened my engagement. I started to read in the animal space. I read Peter Singer's book, which was published, you know, some years before, called Animal Liberation, and that just confirmed all my instincts. I mean, Singer's book is really accessible. It's really clear. His argument is that when it comes to suffering, animals, non-human animals, are our equals, and that, you know, they have sentience, and that's really the most relevant criterion. It's not how smart we are. Some person may be smarter than another person, they don't get more rights. It's really about their capacity to suffer, that we as individuals have autonomy. We want to live our lives matter to us, and that the animals have lives, and their lives matter to them. So whether they're raised for food, or raised to be in a laboratory, or they're hunted for sport or killed for the fur, I mean, we should just take that as some, you know, assignment for them on this planet, right? They have lives that are important. And to me, it just made perfect sense. And I thought, what we're doing to animals with factory farming and animal testing and trophy hunting and trapping and cockfighting and dogfighting was a form of human tyranny.
Right.
And I didn't want to stand aside. I said, let me get into the arena and get dirty and get bloody, if you will. You know, there's a famous quote from Teddy Roosevelt that always stuck with me. I'm paraphrasing it, but, you know, the man in the arena, you know, he strives and he fails, but, you know, he can get dirty, he can get bloody, but he knows victory and he knows defeat. The person who's just on the sidelines, they don't have that life experience.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is a moral cause that compels me. I had a view that we were just exhibiting the sort of collective unconsciousness. I studied a lot of U.S. history, and of course, slavery is an enormous part of the U.S. historical experience. And the antebellum South, I just wondered, how could good, smart people, how could they have tolerated this? How could they have just allowed themselves to be dragged along?
Right.
Or to accept it and think it's okay? And I just thought that the human relationship to animals was, it had some parallels just in terms of a misuse of power. And I wanted to stop abuses.
Well, animals are like, mini Avengers, right? Like you said, they can fly, they can run fast. I mean, they are really superheroes, just in a different form. And we've been so blessed to share this planet with them. I'm there with you, where I can't wrap my head around, the abuse of humans, of course, like the stuff you see. The world's an ugly place, but when you put something like animals in the mix, it's just it's unconscionable how people will treat them. So what was it like for you to set up that first? It was a nonprofit, right? And when you were in college?
Yeah, it was really just like a student organization, right? It wasn't registered with the Internal Revenue Service. We registered with some, center at the university. They gave us a little bit of money, like $300 or $400. And we really turned it into one of the most important groups on campus.
Wow.
I recruited a lot of people, and I did a lot of protests. I had a lot of table tents. Those are, piece of paper you fold and put on the dining hall. Tell them about factory farming. Tell them about animal testing. Right at the medical school.
Wow.
And there was a fur store in town, and I organized people to go and protest the fur store. And I mean, it was just a view like we didn't. This was in the 80s. I graduated in 1987, and animal rights was not really a big part of the lexicon.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't know what vegan was. They pronounced it vegan, and other sorts of pronunciations, and it felt very novel. And of course, that's not the way it was, because the first animal protection group was formed right after the Civil War in 1866, the ASPCA, and then there was a women's SPCA formed in Philadelphia, the Massachusetts SPCA, like 1867, and within decades there were dozens and dozens of groups in the major cities across the country, and by 1950 there were more than 500 local SPCA shelters, humane societies. Now, today there are 35,000.
Wow.
Animal group for every kind of animal.
Sure.
I wrote about this in the bond. There's a group that heals hummingbirds. There are bear groups, there are mountain lion groups, there are factory farming groups, there are animal testing groups. There's every kind of group you can think of. There are anti-cockfighting groups. And that is such a beautiful expression of the human spirit, that there are other-centered people who, gain nothing from their involvement in this in terms of compensation, or, they're taking money from their own pocket. They're stressed out about what's going on. They're suffering when animals suffer. They do it because they care. And I just am always amazed at my fellow animal advocates and their compassion and their sacrifice.
Yeah, thank God. So when these first groups were set up, I mean, this was obviously a long time ago. I didn't even realize the ASPCA was founded so long ago.
So old.
Yeah, I had no idea. Why did they why were they founded? Was there like stray dogs running around, or what was the mission?
Well, like a lot of organizations, there are great leaders who emerge, right? articulates that vision and others follow. And in the 1860s, the horse was really the focus of the humane movement.
Right.
And horses were used to pull carriages, pull, transports so that goods and food could be advanced from one place to the next, and people could be carried. And it was not didn't take much to see that people were whipping horses,
Plowing and all that stuff too.
Working them,
Sure.
that they were doing terrible things to them. And Henry Bergh, the founder of the SPCA, wouldn't stand for it, and he confronted them on the street. He then went to the state capitol in Albany and argued for law enforcement authority and anti-cruelty principles. I mean, the first anti-cruelty laws actually preceded the first anti-cruelty organization. So Massachusetts, I think, had the first law in the 1830s, but the first group didn't come for 35 years after. And that really told us something very basic, that humans have an instinctive aversion to cruelty. They know it when they see it, but it was also part of a larger issue of citizenship and character building in our society. We're still a young country. Of course, our American founding, stated to 1776, the Declaration of Independence, but then in 1789 you had really more of an organized formation of the United States. And the United States was an incredible concept, and it was seen that if you were cruel to animals, you were really not exhibiting the behavior to advance society. And it was really also facing yourself. And I think those were, you can probably look back and think that those were kind of public rationalizations and explanations for this, because some people thought it was crazy, heretical to advocate for animals. So there was a larger sort of context around which animal protection was grounded. But this is a cause that came because of the horse, and then it expanded to deal with animal fighting, live pigeon shoots, killing frogs and other animals.
And that happened in the late 1800s. That was something that was big.
1860s, 1870s, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get a really terrible problem with stray animals, roaming packs of dogs, you have cats. So a lot of the first work in the space was animal control. They were literally killing animals.
Wow.
Euthanize them in ways that were, pretty barbaric. And animals were seen as a threat in many ways, because they were at large and they were roaming. So it was a different world. It was a different day, and it took many decades for these ideas about dogs and cats to mature. And even the idea of spaying, sterilizing animals to limit reproduction, that is definitely the second half of the 20th century sort of idea. And we think of it as kind of a norm now. Get your dog spayed or neutered.
Sure.
Bob Barker used to talk about that.
I don't.
And it's a totally 20th century, late 20th century idea, like so many of the things that we're doing now. But you also see, when you read a biography of Bergh, and I've got one here at home, you also saw that he worked on things that we're still working on these days, like live pigeon shoots. It's insane to have live pigeon shoots.
That still happens today?
Yeah.
What is that? What, they just line up pigeons and hope
No,
they can...
throw them and then they shoot them down.
They gather them up. People collect them, typically illegally, from cities, and they put them in boxes and they ship them to the pigeon shooters. They might get hundreds, or in some cases thousands. When I was a college student, I went to a little coal country town in Pennsylvania. There was a huge protest at the Higgins pigeon shooters, a tiny little town in the Appalachians, and there was a fundraiser for a local fire department, and they would have people come and pay to shoot the pigeons, and then to come watch, and they'd sell beer, and they had boxes, and they'd have like a little pulley on it. They'd pull it open, the top would fly open, and a few pigeons would fly out, and a bunch of guys would shoot them from 20 feet away. And they shot 5,000. They had what were called little trapper boys would go out as the birds were flopping on the ground, and they would twist their heads off.
Oh, gross.
Little kids would get, kind of their sensibilities dulled from a very young age with adult figures, their parents and others in the community doing this terrible thing to birds, and then they were told, go ahead and twist their head off. So I protested that, and I actually ran out in the field and freed a bunch of pigeons and got arrested for doing it. But it was the right thing to do.
Sure.
And, I'm working with a group called Sharp. We're very close with this organization showing animals respect and kindness. They sniffed out live pigeon shoot in Florida that a guy who owns a big beef jerky company, a billionaire, or at least worth hundreds of millions of dollars, he organized that pigeon shoot in Florida, and we droned it and saw the horror of it. That was just a couple of years ago.
So is this like some tradition that started somewhere? Because I've never heard of a pigeon shoot. Maybe I'm just not in the right locations to have heard of something like this. But I mean, I know we have cockfighting here because it happens.
Well, the pigeon shoot is because they think of pigeons as rats.
I get it.
And so
I get it.
Like that's where that came from.
I'm just wondering, where did this come from? How did it even get here?
Just some kind of work sport.
I mean, that makes sense.
So, are you a vegan?
Hang on. No, I'm talking to Ginni. You go ahead.
Pigeon shoot was an open air extravaganza. You were able to walk in and sit in the stands and watch it, protest it. And there's so many things that you would think, how could anyone do this? I mean, you mentioned cockfighting, dog fighting. There are wild animals in circuses. There are, hound hunts for bears, mountain lions. I mean, it's steel jaw traps, conibear traps, neck snares. I mean, I could give you a laundry list and be here for 15 minutes describing many different manifestations of cruelty to animals.
Wow. So I know you've been doing this for a while. For decades. Thank you, Ginni. This is my co-host, Ginni, by the way. He is my right hand and my left hand sometimes. So I don't think I introduced you.
Nice to meet you too.
So looking back over the years, has there been any important victories that you've been able to go like, wow, we made some real strides here?
Huge. Immense gains. I mean, I've run 45 winning ballot initiatives in the United States, so about half the states have a mechanism, including California, that allows citizens to gather signatures, and they amass enough signatures and registered voters within a prescribed period of time. You can put it on the ballot. So I worked on a ban on trophy hunting mountain lions in 1990 in California. I didn't lead it, but I joined it, and that was the first state to outlaw trophy hunting lions.
Trophy hunting, right?
That was hunting, right? It was trophy hunting. So they chase the lions with a pack of dogs. The dogs attack the lion flees. Lion, climbs up a tree to escape the dogs, just like the lion would, try to escape wolves,
Sure, in the wild
environment. But these dogs have radio transmitters on their collars, and they have a little trip switch that when they turn their head up, it sends a different signal to the trophy hunter who has a handheld directional antenna. I mean, that was what it used to be then. It's become more sophisticated now than that. And then the hunter walks to the base of the tree, following the signal to the tree, and shoots the lion off of a tree limb. It's it's about as sporting as shooting a lion in a cage at a zoo.
Right.
Yeah, but that's what people pay big money
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, right?
So a guide will offer up this guaranteed kill, and they charge a fee of $5,000 or $7,000 to shoot a trophy lion. So we stopped that in California just because you're based in California. Just mentioning a couple things. In 1996, I thought a valid measure to stop the use of steel jar leg home traps, other body gripping traps to kill animals for the fur. 1998, there were some other folks that I've worked with that banned forced slaughter, and then for human consumption, American horses are killed, and they're butchered in the United States and also exported live to Canada and Mexico.
Yes.
Their meat was sent to Japan or Italy or France or Belgium for a small number of diners who consume horse meat. So
Weird.
Stopped that for a long time.
We have a mare rescue very close to us in Aromas, California, that saves horses from being slaughtered and sent down to Mexico for horse meat.
For meat and glue.
I don't know if it's glue. I know it's meat for sure.
It's all meat now, and in 1990, just to give you a marker, because you asked about progress, there were 400,000 American horses slaughtered for human consumption at a number of slaughter plants in the U.S. and then exported live to slaughter plants over the border in Canada and Mexico. This last year was 25,000, so there's been a 95% reduction in slaughter. On the fur issue of trapping used to be a really big thing. Now it's dramatically diminished, and now basically Americans don't wear fur coats.
Right.
The mink industry, there were 7,000 mink farms in the United States in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are about 40.
Well, I remember I want to say it was probably the 80s when, these wealthy women in New York City be walking around in their fur coats, and you would have, the activists throw red paint on them. And I think that definitely had an impact. Maybe it didn't. I don't have any idea, but you kind of stopped seeing everybody, walking around in those mink coats.
I think it became unfashionable and shameful to wear a fur coat when you have alternatives. You're stitching together the skins for the 40 mink or 20 bobcats or 10 beavers, and there's just no reason for it. And this is part of our social evolution. So two of the more recent ballot measures in California, I led one in 2008 to stop the extreme confinement of male calves, pigs, and laying hens in battery cages, gestation crates, and male crates. These are cages and cages that are barely larger than the animals' bodies, and the animals are immobilized as a normal and routine production strategy. So a sow who weighs about 450 pounds and is bred in order to produce piglets to send them into the meat production system, she has a 4-month gestation period, and she's in that crate for maybe 5 to 10 pregnancies. So she can be in that crate, immobilized, unable to move for up to 3 years and 10 pregnancies. And this is not the way farming ever was conducted.
No.
Raised in agriculture, had access to pasture.
Yeah.
They were in barnyards. They could root around in the mud. This was the advent of factory farming, where there was this mass movement, really starting in the 1960s, to industrialize agriculture and to bring animals inside, put them in cages, put them in crates, put them in large windowless buildings, and treat the animal not like an animal with feelings and needs, but like a meat machine or a milk-producing machine or an egg-producing machine. So we did a ballot measure. I led a ballot measure in California that won by 2-1 to end those confinement systems. And then 10 years later, we did a ballot measure, launched a ballot measure. My good friend Josh Ball did so much great work on it. And that measure not only stops extreme confinement, but says that in California you cannot sell eggs, pork, or veal that come from these intensive confinement systems. So if someone buys eggs in California, they will know that the eggs come from a cage-free operation. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect conditions by any means, but it's a hell of a lot better.
Yes. So I don't even know if this is the right question to ask, but with an animal in a cage for years and they can't move, it reminds me of a story I heard about this little boy that was severely abused and he was kept in a cage for like 12 months and he couldn't walk because he had been in this teeny tiny cage for so long. Do they just dispose of the animal? Because being locked in a cage for that long, like obviously, I don't think the animal could just come out and walk. They just kill it. They just slaughter it. Gross.
So that's one of the reasons that they do it for the veal calves. And the other is just efficiency, right? The sow is just viewed as a piglet producing machine, and just give her enough food and water, and she'll survive the adversity. And if you don't give a damn about the animal, then that's acceptable. And that's what the mainstream trade associations for the pig industry continue to defend and support. The National Pork Producers Council, and its biggest member is Smithfield Foods, which was taken over by China.
Yeah.
2013. The foreign-owned corporations control 40% of the pig industry. And if you look at what they do in China, they have high-rise factory farms, 25, 30-story high buildings, like giant condos. And they have tens and tens of thousands of sows and other pigs in these giant condos. It's a dystopian view of
disgusting
treatment of animals, and they want to bring those
Here.
factory farms to the United States, and we're stopping them. In Congress right now, we're having an enormous debate. So the groups that I lead, Animal Wellness Action, which is a 501c4, a public policy and political group, we're fighting an effort to overturn California's Prop 12, which was the voter-approved ballot measure in 2018 that restricts sale of these animal products. The pork producers, the national pork producers, sued. The case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in our favor that California has the right to set food safety and animal welfare standards.
Sure.
The way that the law was drafted, constructed, and passed was constitutional. But now the pork producers in Smithfield are spending millions of dollars to buy politicians like the chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, Frank Thompson, and pushing to overturn that law. They want to overturn the votes of 7.5 million Californians and 2.5 million Massachusetts voters who passed Prop 12 and Question 3, both in landslide elections. I mean, it was not even close. It was 2-1 California. It was 4-1 in Massachusetts, and a handful of congressional lawmakers want to overturn it because these agribusiness giants and foreign-owned companies are giving them money.
They're giving them campaign contributions, and so they're getting lobbied, basically. I mean, I think
they're also shipping the meat to other places,
other
and
countries,
processing half of it here and half of it over there, so that they can kind of skate around that kind of stuff. Smithfield is doing, I'm pretty sure.
It's two-thirds of all pigs are produced for the domestic market, and 1/3 are shipped overseas. And we slaughter 140 million pigs a year, and there's 6 million sows that produce those 140 million. The meat pigs live for 6 months. They get to a market weight of 280 pounds. But it's those mother pigs that have it the worst. They're in these gestation crates, but there's been progress there too. So when I started this campaign, about 2% of sows were outside of gestation crates around 2000. I did the first ballot measure on this issue.
Wait, 2%? So,
2%.
oh man, I am not belittling your progress. I get it, but that just is like nothing.
So that's what it was. Now it's 47%.
Okay, good.
Outside of the cages to 47%, and it's about the same
Mm-hmm.
It was about 2% that were free of the cages, and now it's nearly half of them in the United States. All of them in California, all of them in Massachusetts, all of them in a number of other states now. But you still have Iowa, Oklahoma, Minnesota, and other big states that
Big farming. Big farming states. So what happened? Are we just greedy, disgusting people, or do you think that?
They want stuff at a fair
Well,
price.
I know,
They're
I get
trying
that.
to like
But hang on. Here's
profit off of prices.
I agree that they're trying to feed a lot of people. I understand that, and there's a lot of greed. But I think that you have this book, The Bond, and it argues kind of we have a kinship, right, with animals that it's ancient and it's deep. Is it deeper than just the greed? Have we lost that kinship with the animals on the planet?
Yeah, great question. I think, as I mentioned in the setup here in our early part of our discussion, I wrote The Bond. I said that we have an instinctive connection. It's kind of a low valence, like in science, the pull, towards something is there, but it's not that strong. So it can be overcome by, your parents teaching you to do things a certain way.
Right.
To have the community. So it becomes a norm in some of the agricultural settings to just think of animals as a machine. And it's become very industrialized. And it used to be, the notion of animal husbandry was actually tending to the animals. And
that would be like a sheep herder, right? That was out there like caring for the sheep, making sure they didn't get attacked, and actually having like a connection and a bond with your herd, right?
having a scale that you can actually keep tabs on them. How do you keep tabs on 10,000 pigs?
You don't.
Right? It's automated. The feeding is automated. When you have 400,000 laying hens in a single building, so you have 6 million on the farm, building after building after building. I mean, they're not, you just cannot have veterinary care. You cannot have animal husbandry. It is a whole different model of production. And it became industrialized, and it became kind of a disassociation. And in some ways, factory farming was an innovation, right? It was an innovation that really came about after, our long human history of having food scarcity. And you think in the Great Depression, we had the Dust Bowl and we had poverty. There was great food insecurity at that time. We as a nation said, we're going to have a revolution in farming that's built around production and productivity. And that's a fine goal. I mean, being productive, people need to consume food to survive. That's a good thing to have food. We need it. We shouldn't take it for granted. But that's not the only value system. You have to have a value system that also values the animal.
There has to be a balance.
There has to be a balance. You have to be concerned about the environment. You don't want these factory farms concentrate the animals, so it means you concentrate the waste. 340 million Americans, our waste is treated. It goes to a waste treatment facility, and it is denuded of its most toxic properties. We raise 10 billion animals for food, and none of their waste is treated. It's dumped on our fields,
Yeah.
and it gets into the water, and now you have this toxic sludge that has PFAS, these forever chemicals that we're learning more about, that's destroying farmland. It's poisoning the animals. So you have to have balance, as you said, and you have to have multiple value systems that are built into the production model. That production is not the only consideration. That's the idea. Like, okay, if you look at the antebellum South and conscripted labor, indentured servitude, it's like, okay, there's productive. You're helping on the farm. But what about the people that you're forcing to work? What about their freedom?
Right.
So with animals, they have lives that matter to them. And of course, there's a central question about, do we need to eat animals at all? But if you are going to eat animals, at the very least, don't torment them. Don't
But basically,
them so severely,
yeah,
immobilizing them.
they have no quality of life at all. There is no life.
better to eat kosher.
Does it matter?
I don't know.
Do you have an opinion on kosher meats? Do they have any better treatment, or is that just a catch-all kind of term?
I mean, I think that they're, one of the things with kosher is that you're killing them while they're alive, right? I mean, and while they're sensate. With our humane slaughter laws in the United States, they're extremely weak. They're poorly enforced. But if you kill cattle, you're supposed to stun them first with a captive bolt gun. And there's a similar tool that's used to stun pigs. So they're supposed to be rendered insensible to pain prior to being killed, right? So they slit their throat. And then they disassemble them in the slaughterhouse line. So with kosher, they're not.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, we are 20 seconds to the commercial break. It's going to cut us off. I don't mean to cut you off. This is the Nighthawk Resurrected. We'll be right back in 6 minutes. Big thank you to Wayne Pacelle. We'll be right back, folks. Hang on there.
Hawk returns. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 6.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
Can you talk to Wayne and tell him that we have 6 minutes?
Florida Governor and former Congressman David Jolly picked up the Democratic
Wayne, we have 6 minutes. Can I ask you a question while we're off
No,
air?
you got to get. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sure.
Do you eat meats at all, or are you a complete vegan?
Yeah, I'm a vegan.
Okay.
After what he's seen, there's like no way you're eating
How long
anything
have you
like
been
that.
a vegan?
Yeah.
35,
42 years.
42
Okay.
years.
I think things are going good. I don't know how you feel, Wayne.
I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's amazing that you're sharing your awareness.
Yeah, the
Because I
message
think
is great.
A lot of people
Well,
understand
thank you.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We
Thank you for
we can take
compassion.
this any way you want to go. We can keep going and talking. Like I said, we'll just follow your lead. But I just want to make sure you're okay with the direction of everything.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think your questions are super. The only thing I would say is just for people who don't know me, let's maybe mention the organization so they understand.
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
what the context of all this is. And
Okay,
that
so
campaign-
how do you want me to promote, and which organization do you want me to promote?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm president of Animal Wellness Action,
Okay.
which does public policy work, but then also president of the Center for a Humane Economy that works to change the way corporations behave. And I can explain some of the things that we do to advance those.
Let's come in after the break with that. So I'll prompt you and say, hey, let's talk about your organization. Give a plug, and then you can go and plug it throughout the show. That way, people, because sometimes they're just tuning in, so we need to do it, 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, we have about 4 minutes, so you need to get a drink. This is the time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. This kind of stuff, like I went vegetarian
Well,
a while ago.
The pork thing is that's why I started seeing those high-rise things, all Swift Foods took over all the pork industry because it got bought by China, one of our largest pork producers.
How does that even happen?
By money. And so that's when I'm and then the parasite thing.
Meta is back in court in a pivotal multi-state
So
trial.
that's why I'm no bacon, because it's probably one of the worst ones, the way that they treat the animals.
That's disgusting.
They also say Meta breaks federal law by.
I mean, chicken isn't much better, neither is beef, but
Without parental consent.
I need
Fork
to
is
set it
like
up to where we
just
have our
horrific.
own like thing going during these commercial breaks.
Yeah, you
So we can have our
like,
own commercials, all that going.
yeah, that's where you get sponsored. When you like start pushing.
That is correspondent Calvin Chan
You can
reporting.
hear me talking.
ABC
Yes.
has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration's Federal Communications Commission, alleging violation of its First Amendment rights. News and analysis at townhall.com from
I
Washington.
think it's good, a different direction, right, than our normal show.
Yeah.
British Prime
Is
Minister
it-
Andy
is
Burnham
this
has
playing in
reportedly
there?
exchanged
The
messages
commercials?
with an imposter posing as
For now,
President
that's what,
Trump's
until I
chief
can
of
get
staff.
this all kind of fine tuned.
Well, that's where I was saying that, like, you can have, like, 6 minutes of music playing.
Of our music that we like make.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's what you do until you get like sponsors. You can play like freaking music that like
I can create 6 minutes of like, you know,
a loop.
a loop.
Yeah, where it's talking about like that's what you play during that like the commercial time. That's where like on when on streaming.
When it's all like playing the commercials.
Yeah, when
Music,
you're on
music.
when you're watching like
And it'll
Ancient
say like,
Aliens and
we're
then
on break, we'll be right back.
yeah, on Ancient Aliens, you know how to play that like thing.
On KSEO,
That's during the
Community
commercials.
Matters with Becky Steinbruner. When big decisions are being made behind closed doors, Becky Steinbruner is asking the questions
Yeah, like
nobody
a
else
minute.
wants to ask, from proposed battery energy storage systems to groundwater safety, overdevelopment, and the policies shaping the future of Santa Cruz County. Becky shines a light on the issues affecting your family today and future generations of tomorrow. Don't miss Community Matters with Becky Steinbruner, Fridays at 2 p.m. on KSEO.
I'm gonna come back in with the next
Um,
Resurrected.
So Kristen said,
What?
put some 3-in-1 oil in that chair.
This chair?
Yeah. I don't know if it'll matter. Sometimes they like break down, and that's why they squeak like that.
Yeah.
Opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of KSCO staff, management, or advertisers. If something is said with which you disagree, please let us know by writing to us at comments@ksco.com.
No.
Welcome back.
That
to the
was
Night
just like
Hawk
completely
Resurrected.
the wrong thing,
Ginni
Ginni.
was playing some of the old town just to keep everybody.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Everybody has to like kind of feel through it.
All right, I
You
get it.
can't just like change it and not have it.
We're
go.
changing it all overnight. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Want to remind you, we're talking with Wayne Pacelle. He is one of the leading voices in animal protection. He's been doing this for over 35 years. He's a former CEO of the Humane Society of the United States. He's a New York Times bestselling author. Check out his book, The Bond and the Humane Economy. So he is now the president of Animal Wellness Action and the Center for a Humane Economy. Hey, Wayne, for people that want to get involved or they want to find you, where's the best place to do that?
They can go to our website, two organizations. One of the groups is Animal Wellness Action. It's www.animalwellnessaction.org. That's our public policy and board. So we work to pass laws to forbid cruelty to animals and then to work to see that those laws are enforced. So we've outlawed animal fighting in U.S. territories, like cockfighting in Puerto Rico and Guam is we have a World Cup in the United States.
Right.
International soccer competition, best players in the world, 48 national teams. So over the past 6 years, I led a campaign called Kangaroos Are Not Shoes. And we wrote a report in 2020 that identified that the largest slaughter of terrestrial wildlife in the world was the mass nighttime shooting of kangaroos in Australia, mainly for their skins, to supply Adidas, Nike, New Balance, Puma, and other major global athletic shoe brands for use of the kangaroo skins to make soccer shoes.
And that's always been like that they use.
Is this
kangaroo
just
for
the
soccer
players'
shoes?
shoes, or like the players, or anybody?
It's anybody who plays soccer. You go to your local kids' sixth grade soccer, team, or you could go to Manchester United, one of the great teams in the United Kingdom. So it really started in the late 1960s. There was a marketing campaign to use kangaroo skin, and there's all this hype around it, just like a lot of things. You can't really trust the marketing campaigns to be faithful. Said, oh, kangaroo skin's really durable. It's thin but strong. Your foot stays, the ball stays on your foot for a long time. And great Brazilian soccer player Pele very famously wore those shoes, and he slowly tied the shoes and international competition and kind of drew attention to it. So that became the rage. So no one was really working on this issue in any way. We took it on in 2020 to stop this. And last year, 2025, we finished up and ran the table on the 9 largest athletic shoe companies in the world. Again, Nike, Adidas, New Balance, Puma, the top 4. These are the biggest brands in the world. These are the best known brands in the world. And we brought them to heel. And when the World Cup competition occurred in cities throughout the United States this year, there were 48 national teams with 1,246 players that were on those rosters. Only one of them had kangaroo skin shoes. And if you look back, even 5 years before, certainly 10, 15 years before, it would have been hundreds and hundreds of those players had kangaroo skin shoes. So
Was there enough kangaroos to make this many shoes? I mean, did it affect the kangaroo population?
they've been slaughtering 2 million kangaroos a year, less high of 4 million kangaroos. Australia's a big continent, about the size of the United States.
Sure.
And it only has 25 million people compared to about 340.
Right.
40 million.
Right.
So there's a lot of space, and there were kangaroos, but a lot of Australian advocates for kangaroos say they're terribly depleted. The Australian government and its propaganda says, oh, they're abundant, this is sustainable and great, but the reality is they shoot them at night. They go out and shoot the groups of kangaroos are called mobs. So a kangaroo is like a herd of antelope.
Mm-hmm.
Gaggle of geese, they're called mobs. They shoot the whole mob, and they can't distinguish males and females, so they're marsupials. So when they go, to the field where they shot the animals, they would find joeys, the babies, in the pouch of the mother, where they find them at the foot, where they would have run away from the mother after she was shot, and they're orphaned and definitely died. Perhaps 400,000 joeys orphaned every year as a consequence of the shooting. So not all shoes were made with kangaroo skins, but many of the high-end shoes. And when you're talking about soccer being such a big global sport, played in all 190 countries in the world, it was a huge deal.
Sure.
That is what the Center for Humane Economy does. So we're now working with pharmaceutical companies like Merck, Pfizer, and others to stop using animals in tests and use 21st century innovative methods. We led the campaign at Richland Farms. This is a Wisconsin-based dog breeding company that supplies beagles.
Yeah. Okay. So you like took it out of my brain because what happened with the beagles? And so sorry to interrupt. There was so much around it, and you know they were able to relocate and save some of them. But why beagles?
Because beagles are very, I have a beagle and have had beagles. They're very compliant, they're very gentle. You can do sitting next to them.
Mm.
Like you, I was day one when we, negotiated the agreement. We actually paid for the animals, but we wanted to get them out, and I would not normally pay the initial company. We saw, because of our work to pass the FDA Modernization Act 2.0, 75% of all animal testing was for drug development, experimental drugs, using animals kind of as proxies to try to see if the drug caused problems in the system. Was the drug effective? So when we eliminated the animal testing mandate, that set in motion a set of events that there was decreased demand for these animals. So Richland Farms was struggling, and then there were immense protests about what Richland Farms was doing with the beagles. And then we came in there, negotiated the deal, and with one other organization, we basically divvied up all the animals and farmed them out, if you will, to shelters and rescue groups across the country who were eager to help care for the dogs and to work to adopt them. But it was an historic action. And now there's just one giant beagle breeding facility remaining in the United States. It's called Marshall Minor Resources in upstate New York. And it has 20,000 beagles.
What?
Yeah, 20,000 beagles.
No.
Yeah. So there's a big march that's starting on September 12th. Albany and heading up, and I'm going to be going to the march to advocate for those beagles. But even more importantly, we're introducing legislation in Congress to defund, to prevent government from giving grants to any researcher that's using dogs or cats in experiments. So
Yeah, because we're paying for it, right? They're getting grants and money from the feds to do this research. So our tax money is paying for the torture of 20,000 beagles.
billions of dollars is involved in animal testing grants, and it's 42,000 dogs, 107,000 primates, and overall, millions of animals. And we're trying to turn it around, and we've made incredible progress on this issue. You asked earlier in our interview about progress. We're seeing incredible punctuated change on the animal testing front. We're not there yet, but we're seeing these companies sustain incredible pressure. We're seeing the development of alternative methods that are far superior. So much data to show that the animal testing is not predictive of the human reaction to drugs. That a lot of drugs that pass muster, these animal tests fail. 90% of them fail when they go to human clinical trials.
Mm-hmm.
So the FDA has, because of our work with the FDA Modernization Act, released a roadmap to reduce animal testing in the United States. And the FDA was a terrible agency for decades and decades. There were bureaucracy that was just on autopilot when it came to animal testing. And our system of drug development is completely broken. We have very expensive drugs. We have drugs that have many adverse side effects. That's why if you watch television, you see these drug ads. It's like one adverse effect on the consumer, the patient, after another. And then we also don't have cures for some of the different diseases. And the drug pricing is a major national motivation. So much of it is because of the immense costs on animal testing and the high failure rate. 90% of drugs go through years of study and animal tests, and then they go to human clinical trials, and they fail, and they have to start all over again.
So what should they be doing instead? Because I think most people think, oh, well, they need to start here to develop these drugs. So, we have cancer treatments and things like that. How can they eliminate this? Like, what should they be doing instead, in your opinion?
Sure. Well, there are
Frequency.
many methods that are used, and one of the really exciting methods is an organ on a chip. So
So is that like lab grown meat? That's different.
That's growing. Insulin is grown in a setting, and it's used rather than coming from an animal source. It can be fabricated. There is tissue grown that is conducted in a setting that can you can start with cow cells or pig cells and create tissue.
Sure.
That is the exact same thing as a pig or cow that has a whole skeleton and a heart and brain, but it's just the tissue without the brain and the heart and the bones and all the other pieces. So this is a totally different thing. That's production of meat and animal tissue. For food consumption, people really want to consume meat. You can do it without causing suffering to an animal. Now that's not commercially happening a large scale now, but it's a super exciting area of innovation, and it's coming. There's no question that it's coming. What we're talking about in labs are different methods to screen drugs.
Right.
Safety and efficacy. Efficacy is to kind of test, does the drug work in the human system? But even our old broken model uses humans and human clinical trials, and there are patient pools that take these drugs. And again, the drugs come to market. And again, you've seen these commercials. They've got these happy people in green field playing, but the narrator
Yeah.
saying side effects could be, depression, swallowing your tongue, suicidal thoughts. I mean, all sorts of things, cancer, rates, increased heart racing, heart troubles, all sorts of breathing issues. So our system is not screening for safe drugs, nor is it curing people of so many of the major maladies that threaten us. It's super expensive, many side effects. A single drug takes an average of 10 to 15 years from concept to forming the marketplace. How many people are dying? How many patients are in need? And because it's so expensive and there's such a high failure rate, the drug companies go for the blockbuster drugs like Alzheimer's or
Right.
or the other weight loss drugs. We have 7,000 diseases that afflict people. If you have a patient pool for a particular disease of 30,000, the drug companies aren't going to be investing in that. There's not enough money to recoup the costs of the 10 years of animal tests and then the other human clinical trials that are associated with it. So our drug system is broken, and these new, efficient, less expensive methods are going to be safer, more reliable, cheaper. They're not going to victimize animals. It costs $50,000 to bring a primate into a lab. I mean, many of them are wild caught in Cambodia or Mauritius and then imported into the United States and go into a lab. 50,000 walking in the door for a single primate. So you're talking an immense expense. It doesn't work well. This is why we passed the FDA Modernization Act 2.0. We've now passed the FDA Modernization Act 3.0 in this Congress and the House and Senate. We're just waiting for one more action and on to the president. These are steps that we're taking legislatively to wind down the era of animal testing, move away from use of primates, dogs, cats, and eventually other animals as well.
So, do you think that with the change in technology and kind of the AI revolution, do you think that's going to have an impact on this
It's having an impact. It's
in a positive way?
Yes, we've been using it 1930s, Great
Right.
Depression.
Right.
Have processes for humans except the animals. So in the 1930s, it was okay, but it hasn't worked.
Right.
Now we have AI, we have organs on a chip, we have organoids, we have sophisticated systems that are grounded on human biology. I mean, there is a difference between me and you. It's called personalized medicine, right? You may react to a drug differently than I react.
Sure.
Medicine is going in a very personalized direction. It's such a leap to use primates or dogs or rats or mice or rabbits, and it's just not effective. And again, the drug development is the greatest example of this. A 90 to 92% failure rate where the drugs pass muster in multi-species, years-long animal tests, and then fail in human clinical trials. It was so
Maybe the government. I think they're the only institution that can fail at 90% and still go. Right. Right. Microplastics and all of it. Right. So, do you think that the Maha movement and Bobby Kennedy, that whole, kind of get back to the basics, get, like you said, all the chemicals out of everything, has this helped in your quest to, you know, protect animals and do you understand my question? Sure. Sure. Right. Chemicals. Right. Wow. Well, sure. The in my opinion, the average voter that voted for this current administration, I think 90% stand behind Maha. I think that was a big reason that Bobby Kennedy endorsement was huge. And I don't want to get all political on you, but I think that the people stand behind this and what you're talking about. And my hope is that it will chip away to where, the greed and the money and the lobbying and all that will, these congressmen and senators, they're voting for things that people are like pissed off, right? Like, you weren't supposed to vote for that. That's why we brought you in here. And you're starting to see some of those kind of get thrown out. So hopefully, that will be progress for you and for everybody in this, battle for animal protection. Yeah.
very active. She's been a very positive force for good on animal protection issues.
Well, thank God for that. Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. Ginny, got everything all ready to go?
Yes, I do.
We are so excited to have Wayne here tonight. Please, guys, go to his website. Go to animalwellnessaction.org, and WaynePacelle.org is his main website, and then Center for Humane Economy.org. We'll be right back. This is the Nighthawk Resurrected.
Wayne, we have another 6 minutes. So if you need to take a break, this is the time.
Super. Thanks so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to go to the restroom.
And challenge yourself to grow. Do not be afraid or make decisions based in fear. Do it all with confidence and with kindness and strength. Do call your mom and ask her for advice. Kids to do at 4H.org. To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
We're Jack Armstrong and Joe Getty, your early morning caffeine replacement and your daily dose of brutal honesty.
We call out the stupid, mock the corrupted, laugh at the absurd, because someone has to.
No safe spaces, no fluff, and definitely no approval from the mainstream media.
It's the show they'd cancel if they could, but they can't because we're already on.
Every weekday morning during drive time on KSCO AM 1080, 104.1 FM, and on the KSCO app.
Armstrong and Getty, radio that punches back. Pow! That's some good writing. Who is this?
Colorectal cancer isn't just affecting old people. Cases have increased by over 50% for people under age 50. Routine screening for colorectal cancer starts at 45, but if you show signs and symptoms, you need a screening too. If your provider's not taking you seriously, don't give up. Find a doctor who will listen. Be relentless about your health. Visit fightcrc.org for more information.
Hey everybody, Dave Michaels here, and I've only got a minute to tell you about Longevity's new 3.0 Rise and Restore. What separates 3.0 Rise and Restore from the others? Time duration nutrition. These formulas are designed to give your body what it needs in real time. There are 2 different formulas that come inside this package. One you take in the morning, the other you take in the afternoon. The morning formula, called Rise, is the perfect way to start your day. It's designed to give you more energy, improve your mood, boost your metabolism, and cognitive function. It also has a variety of phytonutrients and antioxidants, including coenzyme Q10, quercetin, and resveratrol. Restore is the afternoon formula and is designed to help with circulation, immunity, liver detox, hormone balance, digestion, and relaxation. Try it for yourself and experience the difference of time duration nutrition. For more information, log on to kscohealth.com, davemichaels.com, or call 831-218-5726. That's 831-218-5726, kscohealth.com, or davemichaels.com.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years. What I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. Hormones. We hear the word all the time. When it comes to health and longevity, no aspect of our biochemistry is more relevant than the efficient and effective functioning of the hormones. The study of the hormones dates back 4,000 years to the ancient Chinese, who used extracted substances, today thought to be sex hormones, from urine and used them medicinally to improve health and longevity. Later on, Indian physicians and their Greek and Roman counterparts recommended the use of seaweed to treat neck swelling, which we now know to be related to the condition of the thyroid. Our modern understanding of these essential and powerful biochemicals began in the late 19th century, when the famous neurologist Charles Braun-Sachard injected himself with a mixture of ground-up, hormone-rich dog testicles and reported a marked improvement in his strength, stamina, and ability to concentrate. Although there's over 25 principal hormones produced in the various glands, from a physical perspective, there are two major control points for all of them: what we eat and how we breathe. In other words, every morsel of food that enters our mouths, every molecule of air that passes into our lungs and into our blood exerts an effect, for better or worse, on our hormones. That means that no matter what our health issues are, by paying attention to digestion and dietary choices and healthy respiration, hormonal health, and ultimately all the markers of our overall well-being can be optimized. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com for the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. I'm a pharmacist that believes that staying healthy is not only about kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the videos too. kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
From the shadows of the night,
Every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8, the Nighthawk Resurrected opens heaven's gate. Kelly Powers and Ginni take the midnight stage, calling all truth seekers to turn another page. Spirits whisper secrets, you with those like the sky.
And welcome back to the Nighthawk Resurrected on KSCO Santa Cruz.
Yeah, we are close. We only have about 22 minutes. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank you so much, Wayne, for your time tonight. I want to remind you guys, go to animalwellnessaction.org, get involved. Also, Center for a Humane Economy.org. Or he's got his website, Wayne Pacelle. So it's WaynePacelle.com. It's got his books, all the current work. You can also follow him on X or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, Wayne Pacelle, at Wayne Pacelle. Also, give us a follow, guys, on X. We are the Nighthawk Res on X and YouTube. All the rest is Nighthawk Resurrected. Go give us a follow, give us a like. We appreciate you. Wayne, so I got a couple questions in from some listeners. Let's see. So Laura in Santa Cruz says, Wayne, you've been a leading voice against U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services plan to kill hundreds of thousands of barrel owls. Why do you believe this approach is both scientifically and ethically flawed? And what's some alternatives?
Yes, so thank you for this question. This is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service plan to kill 450,000 North American barred owls.
Barred owls.
Yeah, barred owls. There are one of 19 species of owls to North America, and the Fish and Wildlife Service is claiming that the barred owls are competing with the northern spotted owl, which is a look-alike owl. They have the same coloration, they're about the same size, and they're both forest owls, so they live in trees, they nest in trees. And the barred owls are said to be more adaptive, and they are pushing out the spotted owls from some of their nest sites. That's the allegation. And they want to shoot 450,000 barred owls over the next 30 years, so 50 to 20,000 owls a year. They want to shoot them in national parks like Yosemite National Park, Redwoods National Park, Kings Canyon, Sequoia, Crater Lake in Oregon, Olympic National Park in Washington, and in 17 national forests. The plan is doomed to fail. There's no way that they can prevent, after they shoot owls, surviving owls moving right back in and replacing them. The United States is going to get on a never-ending treadmill.
Right.
And it won't work. It's also going to cost $1.35 billion. We saw that a grant was made by the native species. They've been protected under federal law for more than a century. And would we ever tolerate the idea of shooting 450,000 golden eagles because bald eagles
No.
we do the same with peregrine falcons and some other hawk because they're competing with each other. Animals are moving around all the time because of human perturbations of the environment. This week there was a big story on the front page of the New York Times that in northern Quebec, the tribal societies, the Inuit, way up on the coast of Hudson Bay, hundreds and hundreds of miles from the border of the United States, the beavers are now occupying those lands. They never have. It's because of climate change and global warming. We're pushing animals to move to different places and blaming them for adapting to human changes in the environment. This is ridiculous. The reason that spotted owls have been declining is because of cutting of the forest that's been happening for 150 years. And now we're going to barn owls who are escaping from fires and moving their range for 150 years, about a few hundred miles. It's ridiculous.
What bonehead comes up with this idea and how do they get people to go along with it?
Well, it is a boneheaded idea. And it's a collusion between the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the timber industry,
Hmm.
which wanted to deflect attention away from their own tree cutting and the destruction of habitat, and try to blame the barn owl for the problems that the spotted owls face. We acknowledge that spotted owls have been declining, but they've been declining for decade after decade after decade, long before barn owls, colonized some of those habitats because they were, they're a forest owl.
Mm-hmm.
All animals engage in range expansion. They're always, trying to pioneer, act as pioneers and gain new ground. That's how human beings crossed the Bering Land Bridge 18,000 years ago, and within 1,000 or 2,000 years, they spread all over the New World, from Barrow, Alaska to Tierra del Fuego in South America. Animals expand their range. That is not an invasive species. That is normal behavior. It's like reproduction or animal feeding. Those things are hardwired into animals. So we at the Center for Humane Economy and Animal Action are leading a fight against this. I urge people to go to our website. I just wrote an essay today about this. You can go to my blog, go to the news section on animalwellnessaction.org or centerforhumaneeconomy.org, and then sign up. Put your name and email address in, get on our mailing list, and we will alert you to opportunities to help us stop ghastly things like the massacre of North American barn owls, the largest raptor slaughter contemplated by any government in the world ever. And then you'll also find out our efforts at Prop 12 in California. You'll learn about our efforts to eradicate animal fighting in our new Fight Act. We're trying to stop Korean Air from shipping thousands of fighting animals on its airline all over the world. We're doing so many things on so many fronts. We're trying to end greyhound racing and horse slaughter, phase out animal testing as we discussed, because we're disgusted by it. And there are better ways to do that work, but we're just about to succeed with our partners at 9 Class in New York to end carriage horses rides in New York. A young man was just killed after one of the animals was spooked in the center of Manhattan with all the horns blaring and sirens blaring from flight-oriented animals. These horses have been dropping dead at a fairly steady clip over the years, and we're going to deal with that problem. We're dealing with,
Can I ask you about the thing in New York? Because maybe I heard like a completely different kind of propaganda type story, but I heard that there was some developer that wanted that land, and that it didn't have much to do with the treatment of the horses, that it had to do with some, and I'd have to pull up the article. I'm just kind of going off memory. Okay.
horses, I'm not against riding horses, I'm not against
Because that's been going on for a very long time, right? They've had the horse-drawn carriages in Central Park for probably since,
New York's been there.
This is why Henry Berg found his mistake in the 1860s that people were overworking and abusing horses on the streets.
And it's hot.
Nothing new about this.
yeah.
And they've had regulations and standards that they keep violating. They simply have not been able to operate in a way that's safe for horses. And now we know that it's not safe for people either.
Yeah, I believe you. I'm not challenging anything that you're saying. So, let's see. I got a whole slew of questions that came in. I'm just trying to get to the good ones. They're all good, folks. I'm not saying anybody's questions are better than others. But so Carrie in San Jose says, for those that care about these issues but don't quite know where to start, what's a practical action a regular person can take right now to make a difference? Right.
As I was talking with you earlier on a break, I've been vegan for 42 years. There's no question that it's a really healthy lifestyle. And we have the problem with food in our society. There is some food scarcity, and you have needy people looking for food, but they also have an obesity crisis.
We have the fattest starving people ever.
But they have
The
Ozempic,
U.S.
though.
I mean, you need a gnarly
GLP-1.
drug because we're so fat. And I don't
Because
think
you wanna
that's
eat so
necessarily because everybody's just stuffing their faces all day. I think it's obviously the quality of food and what people eat. But we definitely, I remember when I was a kid, it was like the starving children in Ethiopia, right? And you'd see the pictures of them and they're like sticks. That is not our problem.
Exactly. That's the history of our human experience, which is scarcity. Now we have abundance, and I don't take that for granted. It is a miracle. Farmers are hardworking. It's a very tough job, and I don't want to diminish their incredible work and sacrifice to produce food for the country, but we have to do it in a way that is sensible for our value systems, or aligned with our value system when it comes to animal treatment. I mean, a pig feels pain just like a dog does. A cow is a sensate creature. A chicken feels pain as well. And should we be killing animals just for gustatory preference when we can have plant-based foods that are healthier for us, that will keep us leaner and healthier, better for our organs, better for our brain function? So again, that's a big thought, right? I grew up in Italian and Greek. I know that my mother was an Italian. My mother Greek with those foods, and also where it took me, it took resolve to break those habits because it's trained.
Yeah.
John Mackey's article says it basically takes about 30 days to train the palate. And you can learn to like foods that you don't like if you eat them, but foods that you have loved for a long time, they're very familiar. So it's hard to break some of these habits, but it's better for you, and it's better for animals, it's better for the planet. So back to that question, lifestyle choices matter. Obviously, we're now you don't even have a choice because we stopped and don't like kangaroo-based sandwiches inside the lair. Animals are all around us, right? And they're in the marketplace. We have to be conscious consumers and be learned. Let's say the second thing to do is get aligned with the group. I obviously think my groups are the best in business in terms of practical action for animals.
Give a plug again, please.
Wellness Action Center or humane economy.org. Just search for those groups.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we probably don't have enough time. Do you have any opinion about the, you know how they have all the windmills out in the ocean on the East Coast, and it was affecting the whales? And do you have an opinion on that? Sure. Right. Hmm. Sure. Well, we need to innovate. You know, there's so many smart, amazing people out there that we have to promote and innovate, you know, with this amazing free market that we have to bring great products so people have alternatives, right?
Most of society runs on barbaric old methods.
It's old. Everything's old. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Hmm. Well, I think with the, you know, the AI revolution, I think we're going to see things change because the days of being able to just lie and propagandize, like people are going to be
Stuff it under the
easily, check this stuff. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is completely bipartisan. I think it's going to be tougher and tougher to just lie to people's faces, and with a 20-second AI search, you're going to be able to get, some really good information that would take, getting through 30 pages on a Google search. So I don't want to take the last minute. We've got about a minute and 20 seconds. Any final messages for the listeners? And please, again, plug where they can find you. Awesome. 10 seconds, guys. Thank you so much for listening tonight.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne. Go to WaynePacelle.com. Check out all of his incredible work. We'll be back on Thursday. This is the Nighthawk Resurrected. Thanks for listening.
Listen up and listen in and come back again.
Come back again.
Guys.
Thank you, Wayne. That was pretty amazing.